I'd like to introduce Avril Rodriguez from Manila.
Thanks so much for having me, Paul. So happy to be here. Hi, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Nice to meet you.
We're going to talk about the concept of fear. And I guess let's kick things off by, I just want to ask Coach Avril, Coach, what's emerging for you right now with this topic, with everything that's going on over the last 4 months, and, you know, for all of our friends, for all of our clients, for all of the leaders that we help and serve, but essentially for all the people that are just out there. What's going on for you?
Wow, Paul, you know, with fear, right? I mean, fear is such a huge topic. There's so much that can be said about that. I guess let's look at different areas here. You know, there are a lot of people who are afraid, worried, concerned about what's going on, both in the present and what's coming in the future. This whole thing of, I guess, like the quarantine, everybody, I mean, essentially what's happened is we've come to a standstill. And while I understand that it is scary to suddenly stop, you know, we've stopped everything we've grown accustomed to, everything that has made us comfortable, everything that we knew. Life as we knew it has stopped. And the thing is, when we focus on the fact that it stopped, that's scary. But if we start to focus on the fact that what happens after something stops, it resets. Now we can create absolutely anything for ourselves. And that's incredibly empowering. So that's what I've been working a lot with my clients on right now, trying to get them to see that next step. You know, if we just go beyond the fear, imagine the possibilities of a whole new world right in front of you. And it is a new world that we can create. What is emerging for me in terms of how the rest of the world feels? And when I say feels, I'm talking not just about emotions that I hear from my clients, but how the world outside, in a sense, you know, feels to me in a kinesthetic way.
Sure.
It feels uncertain. I guess that's a good way to put it. And the thing with that is, you know, as human beings, we're all sentient beings. We all pick up on these things subconsciously. So we're all picking up on everyone else's uncertainty. And that starts to make us feel unsafe. It starts to make our belief systems or the way that we process the world, you know, all of that starts to feel unstable. And that's where I guess a lot of the worries are coming from as well. So it's not just what's going on in our own heads, but right now, our own thoughts are already feeling confused, and then it's getting magnified and reflected back to us by everyone else around us. So everything is just exponentially multiplying.
How does one unhinge? How does one begin to move? How does one reestablish one's relationship with fear? Because fear is an emotion.
It is. I guess the first thing would be, what are you really afraid of? Because many times what we think we're afraid of is not the actual thing that is at the root of the fear. We're afraid of, we may think that we're afraid of our work conditions changing. But if you follow it back, so many times, like I started out by asking my clients, I mean, simply that, what is your greatest fear? What scares you? Okay, what about that scares you? And then keep going back. What about that scares you? And we follow the trail back. And it's always something to do with, I guess not always, but many times it's something to do, yes, definitely with survival. But more than that, it even goes beyond just a physical survival, that, you know, sometimes it comes into leaving a legacy behind. Sometimes it goes into disappointing those around us. There are many different roots, and because of that, it's difficult to generalize. But the important factor here is finding out, what really are you afraid of? And then, I guess, realizing the fact that, I mean, come on, whenever we're afraid of something, when we finally face it, it's never as bad as we thought it was going to be, right? Like you said, it is an emotion. And what happens is the emotion magnifies everything. And that's one thing that, you know, when I tell people, okay, let's imagine it. Let's go through a brain rehearsal right now. Let's visualize it. Close your eyes and imagine being there. have this fear actually be in front of you. You are in the middle of that situation. What's going on? And then they describe it. So my next question is always, okay, what do you do? And they walk me through it. And my clients are able to walk through the entire scenario through to the end. And then I'm like, okay, well, now you know what to do, right? Was that so bad? And they're like, no, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. So I was afraid of something, but then I got through it and then the fear is over. I guess another thing to consider is the fact that, fear is something that's healthy, within healthy amounts, of course. But people always come asking to get rid of fear. And I have to remind people, it's there because it's part of your survival mechanism. I'd actually be more worried about you if you felt absolutely no fears at all. But when it's there and it's a healthy amount, it's a good thing, because if you consider even the definition of courage, right? What is courage? It is pushing through fear. Courage cannot exist if fear does not exist, right? Because it's not being without fear. It's simply pushing through it, having the courage to go beyond it.
That just resonated with me because Susan David, in her book on emotional agility, calls it, dancing with fear or walking with fear, right? Courage is fear walking. I think that was the quote.
It is. I love that analogy also of the dancing with fear, because it really is a beautiful dance. If you think about it, we come closer to it, we move away from it, we come closer, we move away. And, fear, of course, causes a stress response, right? And the thing is, a healthy amount of stress also is good for us, right? Because it works the heart muscles. Of course, focus on or emphasis on healthy amount, right? But, there are times when we go closer to fear, feel it a little bit more, move away, and that's what helps us to grow. What helps us to grow as human beings is being able to thrive in conflict. Sometimes, not 100% of the time, but that's what pushes us to the next level of ourselves. That's what pushes us outside of our comfort zones, right? I mean, we have to leave the comfort zone in order to grow, in order to get to the next level. And yet at the same time, anytime we leave comfort, of course we're going to feel a little uncomfortable. We're going to feel a little bit of fear because we don't know what that's going to be like. And then through that dance, it's, if you think about it, fear also, so aside from the fact that we need it, it's something that, one, it pushes us to grow. And also, I think it's something that, in a sense, it is motivating as well.
Yeah. I mean, nobody wants to be in this roller coaster that we're all in right now, trying to figure out the next move from the next. And
honestly, I would say that change happens moment to moment, or at least the opportunity for change does, because that's also one thing, it shows us how empowering it can be. If at every single moment we have the opportunity to make a change, consider if you took that opportunity every moment, then yes, there would be a bit of fear in every moment, but there would also be so much growth. I mean, what could we be if at every moment I choose to level up?